I want to congratulate you on Pixie. It's a darkly comic heist thriller about Pixie, a girl who'll take a Kalishnikov to your heart.
That's it.
Yeah, that's right. So let's begin with the basics, Mr. Barnaby. I understand that this is a family affair with a script written by your son, Preston. Is that how you got interested in making the film?
Well, I got interested in making the film because I read the script and I thought, wait a minute, I don't want anyone else to make this film. So he gave it to me really in my role as father, and I read it. I read it in my role as father, but it quickly became, my desire to direct. So I made it clear to him that for all sorts of important family reasons, he couldn't possibly show it to anyone else.
Now, how will you describe the movie Pixie in your own words, Mr. Barnaby?
Well, I think it's a comedy thriller. It's about a girl called Pixie who wants to avenge her mother's death by pulling off a heist. But the heist goes wrong and she ends up on the run with two guys who are aware of their depth, with a dead body in the back of the car and a big bag of drugs, being pursued across the wilds of Ireland by some crazy gangsters.
That's right. Now, from the opening shot with the subtitle Once Upon a Time in the West to its twisted ending and a threesome in the middle, Pixie is like a film noir with a Western twist and a little dab of E tu Mama Tambien. Did I get it right, Mr. Barnaby? Your inspirations?
Yeah. No, that's absolutely right. It's we wanted to make an Irish spaghetti Western, so it's and there's obviously it's built around a road trip, so there's definitely a homage to E tu Mama Tambien in there too.
And in the middle of it all is the fantastic Olivia Cook. She's amazing as Pixie. She puts a devilish smile on my face. What directions did you give her?
Well, I don't think I had to give her any directions at all. I mean, she was amazing because I think that the part just fit her like a glove, and she has that charisma and she has that kind of cheeky charm, and she's very strong-willed and she's very good at getting her way. And so my job was really pointing the camera and she did everything else.
Now, what about Ben Hardy and Daryl Mccormack? They're also quite fantastic as Frank and Harland.
So Daryl is a lovely young Irish actor who I met quite early on in the process and was immediately taken with. And he has a kind of marvelous innocence to him. And Ben, I knew from movies like Bohemian Rhapsody, where he played the drummer, but I'd always thought of him as being a drama guy. And then he came in and auditioned, and he was very funny. And he had this very good sort of self-effacing humor. And I put them in a room with Olivia, and they all got on like a house on fire. You never quite know, because obviously the chemistry of those three as they make their way across Ireland is so important. And you never quite know how it's going to work out. But there was just the right amount, I think, of real friendship, but also the boys themselves had a kind of rivalry for Olivia's affections. So, what was played out on screen was also playing out behind the camera.
Oh, until Pixie, aka Olivia, turns the table on them.
Exactly. That's a nice surprise for everyone.
That's right. When your son, Preston, was writing the script, did he consult you at all? I mean, was it a collaborative? I mean, I thought the script was well conceived.
Well, what happened was that I started my career directing documentaries, and I made several in the west of Ireland, and he and I had some time to kill. So we went on a road trip down the west coast of Ireland, and we didn't talk about the movie at all. But, I mean, it's part of the world. It has a wildness to it that I've always loved, and he got that completely. And he'd clearly been thinking. I think he'd been thinking about wanting to make a gangster movie, and Ireland seemed to, he got that as a perfect setting. So I didn't really have any involvement early on, but once he gave me the script, then we worked very hard just to get the right balance of comedy and thriller, and also, because you want it to be real, you want people to care about Pixie, you want to feel the tension and to worry about whether these guys are going to survive or not. So we spent a lot of time working together, to get it to the point where we could then make it.
Now, what about the making of the film? Was Preston helping you with some creative decisions? I mean, because if my mom is collaborating with me, I'll be like,
No, I can't speak for your relationship with your mother, but we get on very well, and we had a great time making it. I mean, he was there every day on set, and it's the great thing about family is that you've got each other's back, and that so we had complete trust and faith in each other, and I think there was a nice balance because he'd obviously written it and had come up with this incredible dialogue, and the three main characters are his age. So, and then obviously I've got, I've been doing this for a long time, so I've got a lot of experience. So the two of us, I think, respected what each other was bringing to the party. And so that way, there are a few moments where, we disagreed like any time, but it was, I think, as family, you were able to have disagreements sort of more honestly than, that awful thing of having to be nice to people all the time. You don't have to do that with your family.
No, and then we have the big elephant in the room, Alec Baldwin as Father Mcgrath. How did you get him, and how was it working with him?
Well, I mean, Alec is an old friend, actually, because we've known each. I had my background was I spent time working for Lorne Michaels. I made movies like Wayne's World and Coneheads in my youth. So I sort of knew Alec through the SNL connection, and Preston and I were at a party, and he was asking what we were up to, and I said, we're making this movie, and there's a part for a deadly gangster priest, and he said, I'm in. And he was the first guy that committed to the movie, and it was fantastic that he did, and then he showed up in Ireland, and because he's a proper movie star, so it was interesting watching the crew. They all were sort of much more alert when he was around, and he's an incredible ball of energy and very focused and very experienced, and was very supportive. And it was a great. He came in for sort of the last week of shooting, and he really got everyone up and running.
Great. And this is for me, Mr. Barnaby. Like Alec Baldwin, I was paying attention to the accent. I mean, coming from Filipino, as a Filipino American, I'm always particular with accents. And honestly, for a brief levity, I find it hard to understand Irish or Scottish or Welsh films without subtitles because of the accent. But with Pixie, I was like, man, I understood every single word. I don't know what you did, but I did. I understood it.
Well, that's great. It's great to hear, but it's a challenge with, and I think that we made a decision because the accents in that part of the northwest of Ireland can be very thick. And we made it, we wanted the accents to be authentic, but at the same time, not so thick that you couldn't understand them.
Oh, you know what? And I'm actually going to Ireland this August, fingers crossed, with the vaccine and everything. And so I may do the same road trip that Pixie and the gang did.
No, do it. I mean, it's the unbelievably beautiful place. The west of Ireland is just it's heaven.
Oh, now lastly, what do you hope for viewers to get after watching Pixie, Mr. Barnaby?
Well, I think first of all, Olivia's performance is fantastic. I think she's a real star, and I think that just to see her do her stuff is incredible. And I tend to be drawn to films that have real heart, and I think that although this is a crazy gangster movie, I think at the heart is a kind of family drama where you have this girl, fighting for her life, and I think there's a real sweetness between Pixie and her stepdad, played by Cole Meany. So hopefully people recognize themselves in one of the characters, and if you're lucky, you recognize yourself in Pixie.
Well, I do. No, but yeah, Olivia Cook is amazing. I just interviewed her for Sound of Metal last year. I mean, her range. I mean, based on that movie and then this one, I was like, wow, she's amazing.
No, she's great. She's going to be in the next big Game of Thrones series. So I think a lot of people are going to discover her.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully they'll discover her with Pixie.
That's right. Well, a big congrats on Pixie again. I mean, I'm going to stop this interview now because brevity is the elixir of life, according to the movie. All right, Mr. Barnaby. Well, you have good luck on everything, okay? And thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much. Great talking to you.
Oh, thank you.